Welcome to listening to Paint Dry, the live stream. We are still a podcast about the art and hobby of miniature painting. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Mike.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Dev, and on tonight's show, I think we are going to be learning all about Oldhammer, or more importantly, all of the delightful Oldhammer that Mike's just managed to lay his hands on. So we will have that, along with our usual updates and plenty of off-topic banter that I'm sure we're going to hit upon along the way.
Absolutely. So where do you guys want to start? You guys want to start with your, you want to start with the artist spotlight, or do you want to start with work in progress stuff?
Let's start with the artist spotlight. Why not?
Awesome. All right. So tonight I'm very excited to cast a spotlight on my brother from a Canadian mother. His name is JT Stark. He is a Northern Canada painter and just an all-around amazing guy. We've had a lot of fun getting to know each other since ReaperCon a couple of years ago. And recently I had the opportunity to be on his podcast called JT's Corner of the Internet. But we'll show you that in just a moment as I share my entire screen. So we can take a look at what JT has got cooking up in Canada. First thing, we're going to look at his Instagram page. It's JTStark04. Can you guys see it and everything?
So it's all good. It's up there.
Perfect. One of the things I wanted to point out, JT, we gave him one of our minis, and he is the first person so far to paint it, and he did an absolutely fantastic job. As you can see, JT is a fantastic artist. He is an award-winning artist as well. He's won multiple medals at multiple ReaperCons. One of the big things that has always impressed me about JT is he is always looking to try to push his skill level into new areas and styles of painting. I love the way he plays with colors and a lot of that. He's one of the few people I know that has the ability to say, you know what, these are fun gaming miniatures. I'm going to throw them on the table. This is a competition piece, and he's very good at appropriately spending time on those things. You can follow JT at JT Stark here on Instagram. He also has a Twitch page at the same thing. And if you go to his Instagram page, he has a link tree which has got all of his links on it. I'll also show you his podcast in a second, but probably the biggest thing that I wanted to talk about with JT, besides absolutely his huge heart and his amazing ability to grow a community on Discord, is that JT also is fighting with MS. And so while it's very humbling to me to see how hard he paints, how beautifully he paints, and that he also has something that he has to battle at the same time, and it doesn't stop him. It just pushes him forward, and he creates some absolutely beautiful pieces of art. So JT, please give him a follow. Also, you can find his podcast on the Spotify. It's called JT's Corner of the Canadian Corner of the Internet. Excuse me. He's pretty prolific with it. There's a lot of good episodes, etc. But I wanted to take an opportunity to spotlight JT and encourage you to follow him. I know Deb has had a chance to meet JT as well, and hopefully Dan will meet him at Adepticon. I'm hoping that meetup will happen. So he's a very good guy.
Yeah, we were just chatting actually. So he and I hung out quite a bit at ReaperCon when Mike abandoned us and kind of consoled ourselves at the lack of Mike. But he and I were actually just chatting because possibly my all-time favorite YouTube channel is a channel called MS Paints. And apart from being a punny reference to Microsoft Paints, it's the guy that runs it, Dave, has MS as well. And I think I may have mentioned it to JT at ReaperCon, but he and I are both on the Patreon Discord for that channel as well. So we were kind of catching up about that because it's a fantastic channel. So
That's so yeah. Thank you, JT, for your friendship, your artwork, and hopefully we can drive some more people towards your Canadian corner of the internet for sure. Do we have anybody in the chat?
We do have some
We have
viewers. So, oh, look at that. It's Dan Osborne. Dan Osborne
Dan
in the chat. Hey, buddy.
Osborne.
yeah,
We got
that's Dan from Another Man.
a few other viewers in there as well. So feel free to jump in, say hi. I do keep an eye on the chat. So yeah, we'll give you shout outs and bring you into the conversation as well.
So Dan Osborne, Dan, our Dan has been really hooked on this Trench Crusade stuff and is all about the grim dark. I believe it would be a good opportunity to have a Mr. Osborne on the show maybe mid-January and talk about grim dark painting
We'll
techniques.
see. Depends
Yeah.
on how many other shows you guys are planning before I have a chance to book anybody.
That'd be
Well,
cool.
book him. Book him. I
we
want him on. He's an
also,
awesome dude.
We do also have JT Stark himself in the chat. So hey JT, it's
JT.
good to see you, buddy.
Dang.
Yeah.
JT. Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great it's such an incredible community. It's such a diverse amount of people. And also what it also reminds me too that you know the hobby is such a unifying factor for a lot of us. We all have our different struggles and life sucks a lot of times, but in the world of being able to paint and I'll give the answer. JT asked me a question on his podcast about why paint miniatures, and the answer I had was joy, because he gives an opportunity of joy and relief, and you know what? You can just slap paint on something, it feels good. It's got it's good aesthetic. Or for Dan Osborne, we can spray stuff on miniatures as well. So I know he uses a regular brush as well. He's very talented, but I just want to make sure I'm including the entire community. I'm not looking forward to bringing Dan Osborne on because it's just going to be Dev and Dan railing on me about airbrushing.
That is correct. Two disciples of the School of CK Studios are going to be on your case for sure. Like, we have to be.
Fair is fair. I will take my lumps. Absolutely.
It's fine, man. We'll just sit you down and just get you to clean out a shit ton of airbrushes and break that fear of airbrush cleaning for you.
It's not a fear. It's laziness, Dev. It's pure, utter, unadulterated laziness. I did use it today, though. I used the airbrush today.
Nice. I have to confess, I have not used my airbrush in 3-4 months now. It's been a little while. I don't think I've used my airbrush since. No, I have used it since ReaperCon, but very briefly, back in October. So yeah, it's been a while. It has been a while.
No, I mean I use it pretty regularly. I would say at least a couple times a week when I'm really in painting and stuff. But it has great advantages. Like I'm working on a bust, and so I was able to hit some glazes in the cheeks and stuff like that with the airbrush today. But the other side of it is, I spent 20 minutes airbrushing, 7 minutes of that was cleaning it. So that's,
So, to that end, Dan makes a very good point, which is that if you practice good airbrush hygiene, you don't have to clean it as much. So, there is that. You gotta take good care of that thing, and it's not nearly as much of a problem. He is, of course, also shaming me for not using my airbrush very much recently, which is totally fair criticism. I plan on addressing that hopefully fairly soon. But the stuff that I've been working on recently hasn't really lent itself to airbrushing. I'm not much of a Titan guy, although I think Dan has spotted at some points that I do have 2 different boxes of Titans that I should probably build and make at some point. But what I've been working on recently isn't really well suited to the airbrush, and the zenithals on them I did long time ago. So speaking of which, I can actually just quickly cut to that.
Nice.
Maybe I can cut to that. Let me fix up my camera. And once again, these two are not going to be able to see what I'm doing, so that's going to be fun.
Is Pete in the chat? Is Pete with us today?
I have not seen Pete sneak into the chat yet.
Okay.
But there is still time.
There is still time,
Yes.
absolutely.
It does say we have 4 peeps in there, so we'll see how
There
many.
are some peeps.
Probably
Ha ha
by
ha.
me and you.
All right, it turns
Two
out
of them.
that Dev is an idiot and did not finish hooking up. Oh, there we go. Da 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 da.
Stick it in, Dev. Make it work.
There we go. Excellent. We have a camera. All right, so let me just transition here. So you guys are currently enjoying a view of my wet palette. The guys on stream are not enjoying anything at the moment. So first up is a Dark Elf Witch. So all of the models I've been working on recently have been Relic Blade. I have been really enjoying painting up Relic Blade. I really was struggling to get back into painting after ReaperCon this year, and the Relic Blade figures have actually really kind of helped get me back into it. So Dark Elf Witch, I've been doing this model in a kind of drow purplish flesh tone with kind of sheer effect fabrics. So it's going to take a little while to work out those fabric effects and get them looking really good. But I started this on the live stream on Monday that I do every Monday night. And with models that I paint on live stream, I only work on them on the live stream. So you guys get to see everything from beginning to end on that. So a bit more to be done there, but working on that. I think I may have shown this one. This is the Lone Guard Infiltrator. I've been kind of really trying to figure out flesh tone, shadows, and highlights a little bit better with this model. There's still some way to go. I'm not sure how much more I will do on this particular model. I've got some ideas of where I can improve it, but there's still a little bit to be done there. Ooh, audio feedback. That is my bad. Thanks for the heads up, Dan. That should be fixed now, hopefully. Let's switch to the nicer mic. Little work on NMM with that dagger as well. It's an interesting dagger because it's a kind of square cut, almost like a steak or something. Just bringing in some kind of ambient colors and stuff. And then the thing that I've really kind of had a lot of fun painting up recently is this Lone Guard pikeman with a lot of work on the NMM. I can try and zoom in a bit more here.
Good job decreasing the shadows on those arms lines.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think I also need to spread the shadows out a bit more instead of just having them as recessed lines. That's the next thing in my head is bring them up around into the volumes a bit more.
Right.
So this pikeman...
Pump up the volume.
Yeah, exactly. Build those volumes. So this pikeman has a little bit of the same issue with the shirt. Played around a little bit with doing hairs on his forearm as well and things like that. Doing a little bit of ambient lighting and color into the NMM on his helmet and his pike haft. Or is it a pike or a billhook? I never remember the names of these weapons, but yeah, I've really enjoyed that. And this has also kind of set the color palette for the rest of the Lone Guard. So I kind of started these this afternoon. I've actually been batch painting again, switching it up a little bit, working on the other 4 Lone Guard that I have. I do not have the Lone Guard Sergeant. I think he's the only figure in the Lone Guard faction that I'm missing. So I'll have to pay either Sean Sutter or Sky Herrick a visit at some point and pick that figure up. But that is it for me. It's not a huge amount of time. I've probably painted maybe 2 hours on stream and another 3 or 4 hours off stream this week. But a little bit of progress nonetheless. So I will transition back and hand over to Dan to tell us all about what he's been working on.
I've been staring at lots and lots of pictures of grim dark stuff. So no painting, but I got this interesting figure from Mike a couple weeks ago. So I was doing some cleaning up on Alice, and that's taken a quite a bit of time, only because like it's very very fragile. She had I know we don't have a picture up or anything, but like hair strands, taking cleaning that up, it's pretty hard, and like lots of leaves and grass and stuff. So I've been working on that, and hopefully in the next year I might put some primer on it, and I'll use an airbrush though. But that'll be about it. I'll be done after that. I'll
Is
just let it. I'll just let it. I'll just look at it as a primed model.
is this the same sculpt you sent me, Mike?
No, this is Alice. This is so CA, was it CA 3D Studios on Cults? He did an Alice sitting on a mushroom, and he also did the Alice bust that we kind of showed a little while ago, a few streams back. Dan wanted the figure, I wanted the bust, and so I printed the figure for him. A little bit bigger than 54 millimeter, but not quite 75 millimeter size.
Yeah, it definitely needs to be much bigger. Now I know why they put so many different scales in there, because even
Yeah.
at 54, she's tiny. She's tiny.
Yeah, I figured I was going to ask you if you wanted me to just to print you a bigger version of it. Also, it'd probably be easier to clean up than the small version because
Well,
at least
there is. Well, this is the single piece. All of the grass, the mushroom, her skirt, all that stuff are all individual pieces. If I wanted to put it together, so yes, that would be much easier, but the scale would be much larger, and I think it printed out pretty well already. So I'm not going to worry about it right now.
Yeah, I was really surprised that a lot of the all the grass and stuff survived the hot water pull.
Hmm.
I didn't even know those were there. Like when I first pulled it off, like, oh crap, look at all that little stuff down at the bottom.
Yeah, but I
But
probably end up putting
it all survived.
some more grass on myself or something. I mean, you can't even see any of them. None of them, like if they broke off, they were clean breaks, so they don't look like it's a you know a broken
Hmm.
leaf or mushroom or anything like that. So they broke in the right place, and I can't even count how many there were. There
Cool.
weren't many. So it's been cleaned up pretty good. I did let it sit out in the sun and get some natural light to cure just a little bit longer, just to bleed off some of that smell. And she's pretty strong in it. The resin you use is kind of flexible, so
Hmm.
it's been pretty good. So no lost pieces, really good details in it, no striations or lines or anything. So it's gonna be a fun piece to paint. Now I just got to figure out how I want to paint it. I don't know if I'm gonna
Yeah,
go
I printed that at
traditional.
.02.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it took 14 hours to print that.
Holy crap, that is a long time.
Yeah, yeah,
But
but
it all
it
came
was
out.
worth
It
it.
looks good. So
It was worth it. Yeah,
yep.
absolutely.
So I did that, and again looking at grimdark stuff, but she's not going to be grimdark. Did I do anything else? I don't think so. It's that time of the year, so um, I just been trying to get things done and ready for Xmas and things like
Mhm.
that for the holidays. So I haven't really concentrated much on it.
Right, right. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, no. Yeah, and instead, you have anything else you wanted with that, or you good?
That's it.
Okay. So should I go into the old hammer palooza?
I mean, first of all, we need to know, have you been painting anything? Have you got any further with your busts?
Yeah, I'm almost done with. I didn't bring any pictures. I am down to the gems on the vampire bust, and just struggling because this is a general complaint about sculptors. They don't sculpt gems correctly, and so these are diamond shaped gems basically with triangle points on them. And so if you were researching like that type of gem, it would be considered a kite cut gem, at least at the base shape of it. But the gems on these things don't look right. You know what I mean? Like they never really get this shit. You know what? Actually, I have him. Hold on a second. I have a picture of him.
I think it's a kind of a conflict between what sculptors value and what jewelers value here, because for jewelers, the more faces you have, the more opportunities there are for light to interact with vertices and edges, and it gives more play of the light with the gem, right? It makes it more glittery. But for a sculptor, they don't necessarily want to be doing all of those faces, right? So they want to simplify it down a little bit and give painters an opportunity to work in bigger volumes and that kind of thing, right?
Right. And so the guy in the middle, if you can see, his gem is a diamond-shaped pyramid.
Yeah, it's basically a D8.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's really hard to kind of do the reflections on that because you're fighting two different things, right? If you go to the shape, like when you're doing a shape like a cone or something, yeah, would it be a cone? Yes. Theoretically, you would have the light dispersal kind of in a triangle shape going down, kind of away from the light source. But in a kite-style gem, if it was sculpted properly, the light reflections would be substantially different because you'd have so many different faces on it. And so it's a little bit of a struggle to get these to kind of look right. And so, but this is like 2 weeks ago where he is. I've gotten the gold non-metallic done, and the black is all done. Like literally, I'm down to just the gem. I didn't take a picture of it because I wasn't planning on sharing it. But and the Avalor Dark Kingdom guy got stripped. He's back to bare resin because I dropped him on my palette, and I couldn't get all the paint off of him while I was painting him. So,
Good job, Mike.
you know, life happens sometimes. And
Yep.
it was part of the problem was I had a bunch of inks on my thing, on my palette, and he landed like head first right into black ink on the palette. So, um, if I was fast enough, I could have just used it as a like really wet it down and used it as a wash. But I was so flummoxed by it happening that it kind of pissed me off a little bit. So, um, but yeah. But I've gotten further with the Steel Rift. I have all the base colors on all four of the models now, and most of the gradients that I'm hoping that the vehicle and airbrush lovers will appreciate when it's done because I've been really working on making it because I know that if I look at the people that are really good mech painters, the big thing is that there's a lot of gradients on those panels and stuff, even on the tiny things. And so I was really working really hard, and it was fun using um, the turquoise paint. Turquoise is a color I like to paint with. I think it's pretty versatile. You can use it for a lot of different things, and so with that being, I would say the main color is black. The secondary color is turquoise, and then there are hints of white. I will say this though, Death Ray Designs, your decals are a little rough to work with because they're not separated, and so it's not like when you do a Blood Angels Games Workshop one, you just get the Blood Angels thing, but when you do the Death Ray Design ones, they're not cut, and so like the whole little area that you cut out comes off, and so it makes it difficult to like do the tweezer slide technique. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but
Yeah, I mean, this is an inevitable problem with a lot of decal transfer. If you're not going super high end, you've basically got decal film across the entire sheet of paper. So when you lift the decal, it's not just individually popping off each individual thing, it's lifting an entire layer off, and then laying that down is quite a bit more difficult. I mean, you just got to suck it up. You just got to cut clean around the edges of the design. That's how it's the scale modelers will do it, which is, I mean, a lot of scale modelers kind of have aftermarket decals that are done by small mom and pop shops to represent, lesser known aircraft or whatever, armor as well, right? And they are doing small runs of these things, so they use that kind of decal paper. You just have to cut the whole thing out and then take your time with the microset to dissolve that layer to just leave the ink behind of the decal.
Yeah, and I using the chisel blade has helped a lot too, because what I'll do is then slide the decal onto the chisel blade, because what'll happen is, like, if you have a longer decal and you try to use like a knife or something like that, it'll bend and flop, but the chisel blade, it stays flat on, and then I'll able to kind of then take the like a brush and just slide it into place. Although I am frustrated. I'm not particularly great at whatchamacallit, at doing decals, and so I've had a few kind of move on me and dry before I could readjust them. So
can I recommend trying a 1/48 scale Phantom? Because those things have about 300 or 400 decals. I think by the time you're finished with that, you should be an expert.
Yeah, I think I'd probably throw myself out a window before I finished it.
Me too. As far as I'm concerned, if an aircraft does not have propellers, it is not worth bothering to build.
Fair enough. So, we just got a new subscriber to the channel, Dave Taylor.
I think I've heard that
really?
name. But which Dave Taylor are we talking about?
It would be the Dave Taylor of Dave Taylor's Miniatures, the head kahuna judge at the Nova Open and fancy publisher guy. So.
He must be bored tonight.
He must be, or have nothing else to do, sitting on his phone, and he randomly saw the post. And so one little update for everybody too is we're also now on Threads, and so that's pretty cool.
Mike and I have got a little bit of a follower contest going on. I'm working on the Blue Sky angle. Mike's working on the Threads angle. So, pick a side, pick both sides. Give us a follow, give us a like, and
pick both. Please pick both. Don't just pick one.
We want redundancy.
Help a podcast out.
I'm sorry I missed it earlier. Sean has also jumped in on the chat, saying
What's
what
up,
up,
Sean?
nerds. Got a little distracted whilst that was happening, because I was also providing beautiful audio feedback for everyone to enjoy, which has now been fixed. But Sean really sympathizes with your decal issues and just says freehand it. So that is actually, oftentimes that's not a bad suggestion, I feel.
Yeah, actually, that's what I did. So I successfully there's some Asian writing decals for the legs on these guys. That I successfully got that on. That wasn't a problem. There was this shoulder one that kept moving on me, so I painted over it and freehanded it, just so it would.
That's just practice, Mike.
Yeah, it is. It is practice. I don't use a lot of decals. I do prefer to do more freehand, or if I'm doing the Space Marines stuff, if I do Blood Angels, I actually have a crap ton of Blood Angel shoulder pads. And so, yeah, I bought a lot of Space Marine, a lot off of eBay of Space Marine bits because of a diorama I was working on a couple of years ago. And in there were 40 Blood Angel pads, shoulder pads. So, yeah, it was not. And it's the two different ones. You got the ones with the feathered wings and the ones with not, they're just the outline of wings, etc. So it's kind of cool to be able to switch. It was kind of cool to be able to switch. You can do one squad this way, one squad that way, and they're all brothers. They're all brothers.
Did I ever tell you guys how I got around the Blood Angel logo when I was doing? I got the Betrayal at Calth box set because I love the look of the Mark III, possibly Mark IV Marines, the ones with the heavy set face masks. And I decided to paint them all up as a single chapter because, why would you not? And I
Me too. I did Minotaurs.
I'd gotten super excited by the Blood Angels because CK Studios 101 airbrushing class I did a Contempt of Dreadnought in Blood Angels colors for no good reason except I wanted to practice red. And in the end, for Calf, I took some green stuff, pressed it over one of the shoulder pads that I'd Vaselined up beforehand, lifted it off, so I had basically a template over the shoulder pad that had formed the right shape. Went in, carved out a Blood Angel logo into the green stuff and removed those bits of green stuff. Just popped that on to a shoulder pad, blitzed it with black paint through an airbrush, took it off, next one, and it was basically just a stencil for each and every one of those shoulder pads. It little dicey, little rough here and there. Needed a few bits of cleanup, but generally speaking, it worked kind of well.
Very cool.
Yeah,
cool.
It's much easier if you just went with Dark Angels.
Yeah, because having the sword instead of the blood drop is so much easier.
Yeah, and the wings. Come on now.
The broken sword, by the way, not the straight sword. The broken sword.
Is it a broken sword in Heresy era? I feel it's a straight sword in Heresy.
I don't know.
I don't
know the sword's preferences.
We need Dan to tell us. Dan will know. Dan is actually saying that one of the dreads that he did in CK was a Blood Angel as well. I think I remember seeing photos of that one from Caleb at one point. And he raffled off the Imperial Fist that he did in class for an ACLU charity for RGB, which is RBG, which is awesome. Good on you for doing that.
Very much so.
Yeah.
This community, man, is a beautiful thing.
Straight sword in Heresy, it looks like, is what Dan is saying.
I think the broken sword was from when the lion left them, abandoned the chapter.
So now, do they straighten the sword out that he's back?
I don't know.
It's always straight for him.
Is it Anduril, maybe? Is it the sword that was broken and reforged, perhaps? A thing
Maybe
that...
All right, now you go. My lore is exhausted now.
Oh, I'd switch to Tolkien lore at this point, but never mind.
I'm not good with that type of lore either. I'm more Marvel and do you want to have anybody want to talk Vampire Hunter D? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Dan, you were a little too fast on that.
As my wife says.
Oh. Was she commenting on your broken sword too?
Yes. She wants to get the lion to see if she can make it work again. He's missing.
Speaking of Lord of the Rings, though, have either of you guys taken a look at the War of the Rohirrim box set that Games Workshop just dropped?
No, but I saw all these new individual one-off models. They're beautiful. They're so much better than because I have one more Lord of the Rings commission sitting in front of me. It's only like 5 or 6 models, but these plastic models blow. They blow. They suck. They're archers, and the hands back like this. It's a blob of plastic. There's no definition in any of the hands or anything along those lines. And so looking at the new ones that they've shown on the community page, Warhammer community page, they're gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's kind of interesting because I remember when Lord of the Rings first came out, and those sculpts, particularly because they were true scale, right? All of the Lord of the Rings stuff is true scale. The detailing looked so worlds better than anything we'd seen before from Games Workshop. And now you look at it and you're like, oh my god, this is terrible. It's awful. And it's not helped by the fact that I don't think the molds have held up particularly well. Flashing and stuff is more of an issue for the plastic stuff. But you're right, this new stuff looks incredible. And I am not usually a big Zorp fan because I'm not that into Lord of the Rings stuff, but I've been watching some of his recent videos on doing Edoras and Medisil and building up a huge terrain of kind of the capital of Rohan. And he just dropped a video kind of doing some conversions, and he made a really good point, right? The box set has warriors of Rohan on foot, which is not what you think of with Rohan. You always think of horse soldiers.
Horses.
And he's basically asking the question, is Games Workshop actually going to come out with any more plastic sprues, or is it just this? Because all of the other box sets that they've done in recent times, right, Osgiliath and Minas Tirith and all of these full entry box sets have just been rehashes of the old plastic. This is the first set of plastic sprues that have come out in probably 15 years, if not longer. I mean, when did Lord of the Rings first come out? 99, 2000, something like that, early 2000s at the latest. It ran for a few years, and then they kind of switched to Forge World for everything. But we definitely need more plastics in Lord of the Rings. This new box set has almost got me interested in going to trying Lord of the Rings, because they're just gorgeous. True scale, beautifully sculpted, beautifully detailed, completely modern plastic kits that just look great. So I'm curious, because I think if Games Workshop drops some more plastic kits, if they demonstrate that they're actually interested in supporting this product line instead of just trying to milk it to its death, then I could see myself picking up a load of it. So, yeah, it's a good topic, I think, for Games Workshop actually paying attention to the market, because Lord of the Rings is what made Games Workshop a success financially, right? As much as I hate to admit it, because I was Games Workshop player a long time before they bought got into the Lord of the Ring thing. That was a big break for them. So many folks are in the hobby because of the Lord of the Rings IP being with Games Workshop. So,
right. But we're finding out now, though, they have a new driving force: the video game
and the TV show.
Video game and the TV show. Yeah, those are now driving people to tabletop gaming and miniature painting and that. Which, hey, never complain about it, and I'm never going to complain about more minis being available. You know what I mean?
Yep.
More things for Dan to buy and put in his garage.
Ray Herrera has just dropped in the chat saying it's the Three Amigos. You are correct, sir. It is indeed the Three Amigos.
Absolutely, Ray, it's good to see you.
How's it going, Ray?
How you doing, buddy?
Awesome. Wow, we have 10 people watching now. Holy crap.
What do we do? Someone like...
What
Quick,
did we do wrong?
Say something offensive and get rid of them all.
Wait, that means we only have one more person left that listens to the show.
That's the entire cast, yeah.
It's just going to implode.
Right.
We'll have technical difficulties pop up as our engine.
Oh, I can make that happen. 1 second.
No, don't make that happen. Because with our luck,
we just lost 2 people.
Did we? Damn.
So
I cursed us.
I think what we were actually talking about, kind of in vein with how old Lord of the Rings stuff is, because I guess that's almost old Hammer by my standards. Oh,
geez.
He has been summoned. The Sneaky Pete has arrived. Hello, Sneaky Pete. How's it going, buddy?
Sneaky Pete, welcome.
But Mike just stumbled upon a huge stash of old Hammer.
Yes, indeed. So this is fun. I'm part of a club in Northern Virginia called the National Capital Model Soldier Society. I've mentioned it a ton of times before, and I'm going to throw this little plug out too. For those of you who are not in the area, that's okay. We still do a monthly Zoom meeting besides our in-person meeting, and actually they get people from all over the world. There are Scottish painters and Irish and German painters that actually get on the Zoom on the weekend, on the monthly Zoom, And so it's a wonderful club that just we show what we're working about, share tips and techniques and stuff along the lines, and you have a very good mix of everything from the old school historical painters all the way to tabletop gamers, and we all have an opportunity to share and learn from each other. Um, what happens, and I'm really surprised at how often this kind of happens. And well, I guess I shouldn't be terribly surprised. The club receives donations of models, and a couple of years ago, they received models from a gentleman who moved from his house to assisted living, and that comprised 3 cargo vans full of miniatures that were unpainted, and 2 cargo vans of miniatures that were painted in order to move this stuff. I thought it was only 3, but they corrected me last night and they said no, we made 2 more trips just for the painted stuff. What'll happen is our club, those are donated to the club, and we'll use them and sell them at a really big discount, and that helps fund our annual show, and also other types of donations that the club makes to, like, for example, they are restoring a Revolutionary Connecticut flag at the artist preservation group, and so we'll make a donation to that, etc. And think the motto of the club is preserving history through art, and so it's a really nice group. Well, a couple months ago, one of our members was approached at another convention and asked if they wanted if they would get rid of his miniatures. The guy used to be a big tabletop gamer, but as he's gotten older, he's moved away from that size scale, and so now he is painting 75 millimeter, 120, etc. stuff because of his eyes and his hands and stuff, which I'm sure that is a lot of our fates. I know I have started enjoying the larger scale figures because they're much easier on the eyes. The guy told me it was a bunch of Games Workshop stuff, and I'm like, okay, this could be anything, right? And we lost Dan. But when I went to our Christmas party last night, he had brought all of it there with him, and it was a big box and 2 shoe boxes full of stuff. And I wanted to share some of the stuff that's in there because I agreed that I would catalog and help find what costs are and stuff. And so I wanted to share. It was almost a disaster for me last night because I told myself at midnight after I'd done all my stuff, gotten home from the party, made some phone calls, walked the dogs, etc. And I'm like, well, maybe I'll just take a little peek at them. And I looked up like an hour and a half later. I'm like, oh, I need to stop because this is too much. I'm having too much fun. But so let me get to that, and I will show you all some of the fun stuff that is there. And hopefully, if you're someone like me, it is a blast from the past, and you will enjoy it. So let's see. Let's go down here. We're going to start the slideshow from here.
There we
All
go.
right, and so just to start off with, it's things like these are bad pictures, and I apologize, but we have one of the original Blisters of Space Marine sergeants. There is the Space Marine Chaplain pack. It's a 2-pack blister that used to come out, and also Captain Sicarius. I believe he's an Ultramarine. If I read his.
Can you just hit hide on that screen share notification? Just hit hide. There we go.
Ooh. Oh, also, I think what I can do is probably move these up a little bit.
Yeah, that also helps for sure.
And
Yay.
There we go. Way better. Way better. We're total pros at this now.
Yes, but I got to do it for all of them now. So that I thought that was cool. The next one, there's Confrontation miniatures and original Confrontation minis in there, which Dan has already claimed one, which I don't know if I have a picture for that. Then the original Terminator Inquisitor. There's a few more of the Imperial Guard. There's an Imperial Guard. There's the original Khorne Berserker and the Salamander chapter, which I didn't know that chaplain, which I didn't know that existed.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're wondering, Dan explained this to me this morning that I guess when Games Workshop put stuff on sale to get rid of stock, they would cut the blister cards so you couldn't return it. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah, that's what I recall we did in our shops, and you'll still see them out there if you guys go to swap meets and things with blisters that have corners cut. That was just
Mhm.
something that we did in our shop. I would just imagine that was probably company wide. I'm sure those
Right.
other veterans of the organization probably have the same stories or answer.
Yeah, and this is some of the
Which
other
is
cool stuff too. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was saying, which is really cool because if you look at these really old ones, like the blue one here, and then I think you have a green one somewhere too, they're not cut corners, which means whoever purchased them kept them for decades in their original packing.
Yep.
Great for
And
collectors.
so this is great too because you have the Games Day 2000 Black Orc, Space Hulk Day, Terminator Champion, Chaplain, which I didn't even know that existed. Space Hulk Day. Then the Chaos Champion from Games Day 2002, and that's a pretty messed up model. He's like got somebody in a choke slam, which is pretty cool. Then we also have the Games Day 2007 Black Orc. And then, oh, there's the one. That's the Archeon Sanith that Dan has claimed. Um, Hogroth the Colossus from those are two confrontation minis, and then another confrontation mini. Now, what I'll say to you is this: I have barely made a dent in it. Things that I know for a fact are in there are the original Metal Corn Juggernaut, the Metal Beast Lord's Chariot, Gothor, the original Metal Gothor, the Scourge, Dark Eldar Scourges, which I didn't even know existed, metal and new in package, a Demon Prince Azariel or something like that. Again, I didn't know who the hell that was, but it's a hefty metal model. Um, there's the original Bloodthirster, new in sealed box. This guy didn't even get into anything, and um, just looked up. I looked up 10 of the epic models that he has, and had a big shopping bag of epic models. Just those, like Avatar Kane, Motarian, Fulgrim, bunch of Eldar and Tzeentch epic stuff. Just the 10 that I priced out were over. That's over $1,000 right there. Like the Avatar Kane is, I saw it's selling somewhere between 125 and $100. It's kind of crazy. And the reason why it's so hot, the other one like Mortorian, he's got 3 Mortorians, and they were selling for like $95 a piece. And so the nice thing is we're going to catalog all of these, sell them at a really low price just to make money for the club. And so it works a couple of different ways. People get vintage models at a good price. It also, yeah, that's the other thing. Like it includes all the original Blood Angel characters. So you got Dante, Tycho, the apothecary Corbulo or something along those lines, and then Mephiston, and Astro the Grim. The Grim guy they just released, Astrith the Grim. And so there's a bunch of fun stuff like that, and it also includes all of the original Noise Marines. So like the original 2 that came in the Realm of Chaos package, still new in package, plus the other 3 with the Siren Bomb, the Sonic Blaster, and the Master Blaster, all new in package. And so this shit is crazy what's in. I saw your eyes light up on the Noise Marines. Yeah. And so and you got to remember the original Noise Marine came in a 2-pack. You got 2 Noise Marines in the pack. And so there are 2 packs of the Noise Marine, original Noise Marine. So there's a lot of fun stuff. And then the original Thousand Sun Rubric Marines. And then, yeah, the guy he had a good amount of Space Marine stuff. But a lot of it was he liked the Chaos models more. And so, excuse me, there's also the original Karn the Betrayer model is there as well, and then the Lord on the Metal Lord on the Juggernaut.
Yep.
As well.
When
So,
you said there was an original Corn Demon, right? Or Yeah, is that the one that's kind of this high, the with the very flat post with the whip and the double-headed axe?
Yes,
Man,
that's the
it's classic.
Bloodthirster.
Yeah, Bloodthirster.
Yep.
Sorry, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's a corn demon. Yeah.
You have managed to light up the chat like I have never seen it lit up. Brandon Paints is on saying the Black Orc is classic, which is absolutely true.
I have two of them.
The Dave Phillips sculptor is in the chat.
Yay!
There's some weirdo called Dan A. I don't know who that is. But it sounds like there is a lot of interest in these models. So, I think we'll need to make sure that everybody's updated when they're being sold off. I think I might be putting in some bids on the Noise Marines for sure, because that would be fun to paint up some of those. Was it Louise Sugden that did a Noise Marine? No, Louise did Orcs, right? An Orc band. Somebody did some Noise Marines in like obnoxiously bright colors that I was just a huge fan of.
I mean, I'm surprised we didn't see more synthwave versions of them. You know,
I mean,
I saw one or two.
It's just so hard to get them, I think, is what it is, right? Like, it's they're kind of pricey. You got to go.
Well, the plastic one they came up with the guitar. I can't remember the that one was a lot of synthwave in it.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of those examples.
Yeah.
But some of the older ones, not as much.
I mean,
I think maybe it was just that time frame.
The older
it wasn't
ones
past anymore.
Right. The older ones were definitely sculpted with glam rock in mind, right? Like it's got a lot of like T-Rex vibes, I feel. So I don't know. Doing synthwave with them could be kind of interesting, but I don't think it would be easy. Like you'd have to sharpen up the details and stuff a little bit, I think.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're probably right. And you would need to do some. So if looking at ones like the Master Blaster and stuff like that, their armor isn't flat. It's like scaly almost. And like it's kind of got a pattern on the armor. So they're interesting. I just started like I was telling my wife just from what I cataloged last night. I got all the non-games workshop stuff done. So actually there were like 4 or 5 discontinued Reaper miniatures in there too. So he had a good he had there's about 20 Reaper miniatures. There's about there were some Dwarf Wars. I've never heard of the game Dwarf Wars. There was a couple of Dwarf Wars minis in there, then some Dragon Rune box sets, which I think I've heard of. He had a good amount of the Warzone Mutant Chronicles, the original metal ones.
Those were great sculpts, actually. Really characterful sculpts. I like those.
Yeah, no, they're fun to look at. There's also a box of stuff that I got no idea. Like I can't find any. I've taken pictures and done the searches on them and such. So at some point, maybe I'll put those out to the world and say, hey, anybody know what the hell this is? But yeah, overall, it has been fun. Dan and I talked for like 40 minutes this morning about it. The prior, like early in the morning too. It was like what 8 o'clock or something stupid like that.
Yeah, it was. The rest of the government was asleep, and Mike and I were talking about figures. He's like, look at this one, look at this one, look at this one.
Yep. And Dan was like, wait, don't have that, hold that, don't have that, hold that.
So, just give me the whole box.
Right, it's a lot of good stuff, and it's fun. It's kind of fun to go down the memory lane because I wasn't playing the game, but I was buying the minis at the time. Anyways, I don't know if anybody else does that.
I definitely can't relate to that in 30 years of hobbying.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I have not even tapped into the fantasy side. Right, like there is an equal amount of Warhammer original fantasy stuff too. That is just fantastic, and there's some Games Day ones in there from fantasy as well. We also have like the Kroot Shaper, it's called, which is one of the original ones with the guy kind of he's pointing and holding the gun across his arms like that and stuff. So yeah, it was really cool that I didn't know back in the day that was new to me. That looking at the Games Day, they had Games Day original models and stuff. It doesn't surprise me. I just didn't know about it because I wasn't in the hobby when Games Days were happening. And then seeing stuff like, because of all the tabletop games I've ever played, my absolute favorite is the Dark Angels Deathwing version of Space Hulk. I thought that was just mechanically, it was a great game, the best Terminator models that they had produced so far. The Gene Stealers were awesome as well, and so I loved the mechanics of that game. I wish I would have kept it and not given Dan all my Terminators and sold off my Gene Stealers. But
I still got them. They're all clean for you too now.
no, it's okay. There's no way. If they do at some point release a new version of Space Hulk, I will I will probably get it and try to play it because I do enjoy. I love the PlayStation game too. It was also fantastic. A buddy of mine had rigged up his chair. This is before he had all the fancy chairs and sound systems, but he had like speakers set up in his chair. It was just full. Like you would get up sweating after playing the game because you were just, yeah, they're killing Pluvius and like all these other things like coming from different sides, and you're like, what the hell? The Gene Stealer yelling at you in one ear and stuff. But it was a lot of fun to play. It was a great game. I'm surprised that Games Workshop never tried to revisit that um, in the video game context.
So they did two different versions of Space Hulk, right? They did one which actually played like Space Hulk, and they did one which was kind of like a Wolfenstein 3D Doom kind of clone. And I think they've had the actual Space Hulk gameplay one available here and there over the years. But that Wolfenstein 3D one, I don't think they've ever really made available again. And I feel like it may have been LucasArts that did it. It was something like that. It was a really odd big publisher that did it.
It was really good. That's the one I'm talking
Yeah.
about. It wasn't the gameplay version of it. It was the it was first person shooter really. It was kind of like one of the original first person shooters.
Yeah.
And so that was fantastic. But yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed that trip down memory lane. I am hoping I am a bachelor this weekend because the wife and daughters are going on a trip and my son isn't home yet. So I will be doing some more cataloging and painting and getting the house ready for guests this weekend. Getting some Chinese takeout. Yay! Dan is trying to get me to bring all the stuff down to Fredericksburg so he can rummage through it.
Oh, that reminds me. I got to ping somebody.
Yeah,
I'm going to do that now.
I think, man, you're going to have to just catalog take a photo of every piece, throw it up there. We can throw it out to the listeners and get some bids, get some offers in for some of those pieces, because sounds from the chat like there's a lot of interest in some of that stuff. Dan Osborne was very interested in the Mutant Chronicles stuff.
Okay.
So I think there's some appetite there, and raise some funds for the club would be great.
Yeah, and let's see. Hold on one second. I'll do this. Those are all Reaper, Warzone. So from the whatchamacallit, from Warzone, there's Valpurgius, Nephrite of Alkali, Yojimbo, Nephrite of Muhuaha, and then the Mortifactor. Those are the ones that I have. But yeah, like for the Reaper one, there's Harmonious Jade, which actually is a great sculpt that's discontinued. There's a Sorceress that's discontinued, and a Vocifer the Evil Fighter that's discontinued, no longer on their website. I was confused at first when I was looking at the Warzone stuff, because even the way the packages are printed, they look like Reaper made them. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, definitely, Dan. I can send Dan pictures of the Warzone stuff and see if he's interested or not in them. For sure, that's a lot of fun.
Sneaky Pete is hankering for the OG Inquisitor, which I think is the Inquisitor and Terminator armor. Which
I already claimed that one.
I think what that means is a bidding war Is I think what that
Right.
means.
Yeah, I mean they're great. So it's funny the prices of what some of these people are willing to sell them for is just ridiculous. We're not going to do that. We're not going to sell them for the original price because that's not what the purpose of this is. You know what I mean? The purpose is to marry give somebody good value and use the money to the club. You know what I mean? Because this won't go in my pockets. It'll go directly to the clubs. And so that's the other thing too is that I need to get their way to pay. Um, like that, I need to get their PayPal address and Venmo stuff, so that way people can just pay them directly, and I don't have to touch somebody else's money, which is always a happy, joy thing for me.
Yep.
So, and just as a heads up too, and Dan doesn't know this because I forgot to tell him about this. On my way back from his house last Saturday, I did stop to grab a couple of paints at Game Garrison, and I talked to Jay, one of the managers, and we bounced some ideas, and I'm doing some reach out to see about bringing some people back to teach at classes at Games Garrison. So I will
Cool.
give everybody a heads up, and if people don't know already. You should reach out to Ray Herrera, who is on the chat. He runs a quarterly painting class in Austin, Texas, and always brings in fantabulous artists, including people like Kaha and Steven Garcia is the OG there because he was in Austin as well. But yeah, Ray does a great job putting on those classes, and I know he got a lot of support like from Monument, provided paints, etc., and stuff like that. So definitely check those out for sure.
Yeah, totally agree.
But what else? I mean, we are at 10 o'clock, guys, so that's pretty good timing.
That is where we were shooting for tonight. So should we do it a quick wrap up? See if I can cut in before Dan can end the show as he usually does.
Late.
Well, yeah. If you haven't yet, if you could like or subscribe to the YouTube channel, we'd appreciate it. Set up notifications. Randomly send Dan pictures of your middle finger. That would be awesome. You can follow us wherever on Instagram, and we are now on Threads. And what's the other one, Dev?
Blue Sky, the
Blue
wave of the
Sky.
future that these old guys just don't get. Blue Sky.
I have my account.
There are so many damn whatchamacallit social media things. I can't keep up with this shit. You got Talkbook and Facegram and InstaSky, all this stuff I can't handle. I did that
We're
pretty
losing
well.
listeners, Mike.
Huh? Fair enough. Well, we have not finalized whether we're going to have a show post-Christmas or not. So if we do not, I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season and that Santa or whatever your particular belief is are good to you, and you get a ton of hobby stuff and get some time to paint and spend with family.
I hope that Krampus doesn't horrify any of you, and thanks for joining all today because it's been a fun one. I've enjoyed this. Not just because of all of the Oldhammer pictures that make me wish I'd bought those things.
Or kept them.
Also that. Hey, look, selling those things off funded a good chunk of my college. So,
Totally get it.
Okay.
All right.
Have a great night.
All right. See ya.